It's just my take on the matter. LeBron James is the greatest stat stuffer in the history of the NBA. Lonzo Ball got the gift, but he doesn't have the glow. You heard it here first. Bill Belichick sabotaged the Super Bowl. Michael Jordan is the standard by which basketball excellence is measured. Period. That's just my take. What's yours? Yo, what's going on? Welcome back to my take. It's been a while. I actually recorded, I did a live Facebook, but I was doing two cameras at once, and that was a little bit crazy. So we're just going to do the one video. This video is going to be uploaded to the My Take Live Sports Rant on YouTube and other outlets as well. But we'll get better with the double camera thing going forward. However, let's get right into this. The NBA playoffs is here. We love the NBA playoffs. I love the NBA playoffs. But as I mentioned, this is the legacy challenging playoff series for LeBron James. So let's get right to this. And let me just say this right now. I think LeBron James is an all-time great. He has, anytime you have the numbers that he has, 30,000 points, 8,000 rebounds, 8,000 assists. He has 3 NBA championships to his credit. And he has gone to the finals 7 straight times. Other people have done this too, just so you do know this. But nonetheless, it's a major accomplishment to have been able to do that. In his 15th season, he is still playing great basketball. LeBron James is a great basketball player. He is one of the greatest. He's not in my top 5, but he is one of the greatest basketball players of all time. However, let me say this and let me be very clear. And I think LeBron understands this. And I hope you understand this. Anybody that's a LeBron fan or just an NBA fan in general, a sports fan, just in general. LeBron James absolutely cannot lose to the Indiana Pacers. I'm even disappointed that they're 2-2 right now. But he absolutely, positively, under any circumstances, can he lose to the Indiana Pacers. Period. There is no excuses you can give him. I don't want to hear nothing about the roster or, roster, there was young guys, it was new. I don't want to hear none of that. Listen, let me tell you something. There are some defining moments in every athlete's career, every person's life, but every athlete's career, there are defining moments. And I'm telling you right now, nothing LeBron James did prior or will he do after this playoff series will define him. Nothing, not Dallas, the meltdown in Dallas, not that, not losing to San Antonio 5-1, not even last year losing to Golden State 5-1. None of that will matter. No one will remember that. Nobody will discuss that. The only thing that will define LeBron James, and I somehow hope that this video finds him, but I know he knows this already. I know LeBron James knows this. Nothing that has happened in his career before or will happen after will matter if he loses to the Indiana Pacers. There is no excuse for it. You're talking about a team in the Indiana Pacers that their best player is Victor Oladipo. Now, I'm not disrespecting Victor Oladipo, but he is a player that's just coming into his own. He's having a breakout season after 4 or 5 years in the league. He's breaking out. He's their best player. You cannot lose to the Indiana Pacers with Victor Oladipo being their best player. That's absolutely cannot happen. That will tarnish his legacy forever. And the conversation about Jordan before and even after would have been a disrespect to the standard, which is Michael Jordan. That's what I call him. I call him the standard. He's not only the GOAT, I call him the standard. David Stern said after Michael Jordan won his fourth MVP, he said, "You are simply the standard by which basketball excellence is measured." Period. It's kind of like a man being compared to Christ Jesus. You can be phenomenal at all these things, but when you get compared to perfection as a man, you pale. Michael Jordan is the standard. And any discussion about LeBron James, if he loses to the Indiana Pacers, would have been a disrespect to the standard. Now, do I think that the Indiana Pacers are going to beat the Cleveland Cavaliers? No, I don't. But they're certainly not afraid. And one of the things you have to do in order to be able to beat LeBron James, you can't be afraid. You can't be afraid. And for not only losing to the Indiana Pacers, but let me further help you to understand something. He can't not get to the finals. He has to get back to the finals. Why? Because Kyrie Irving is hurt. Obviously, Gordon Hayward is out. So Boston, which was probably their biggest threat, they're decimated with injury. And so who else is there really in the Milwaukee Bucks and fired Jason Kidd? Okay? The Toronto Raptors, I don't even believe in them at all. They don't even believe in themselves. So the only other teams that they would have to really consider would be the Philadelphia 76ers. Now, some of you LeBron fans are going to say, well, you know, they got Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, man. That's not easy. Let me tell you something. Ben Simmons without a jump shot, he's basically baby LeBron. Baby LeBron. He doesn't count in this series. It basically will be LeBron James if in fact they meet, and I assume they will meet in the Eastern Conference Finals. But if in fact they meet in the Eastern Conference Finals, it's saying about Joel Embiid. This is not about Ben Simmons. This is about Joel Embiid versus LeBron James. And if he loses, that will tarnish his legacy. You're talking about Joel Embiid, who's basically in his second season. He's basically a year and a half in. You cannot lose to them. You cannot lose to them. And then everybody, you know what's amazing to me about LeBron James and LeBron James fans and LeBron James apologists and LeBron James supporters? You know what's amazing to me about them? The thing that amazes me is this guy is the greatest player in the world, self-proclaimed, greatest player in the best player in the world. For 15 years, you trying to tell me you can't get no talent to play with you? Nobody of talent can play with you. You had Wade and you had Bosh. You got the 4 straight, but you lost 2. In one of those championships, you got ran out of the building. I did some numbers, comparisons between Michael Jordan support from Scottie Pippen and LeBron James support the players that he's gotten to play with that he should have won championship with. Listen, I'm telling you right now, go look at the numbers. Go look at the numbers. Michael Jordan's best player was Scottie Pippen. 21 points a game. LeBron James had a guy on his roster that averaged 29 points a game in the finals, while he averaged 30. Michael Jordan has never had somebody that can put them kind of points up on the board. Michael Jordan has never had somebody that can literally take over a game in that fashion. Never. So there is no excuses. Now, I remember early in the season, right at the trade, I personally felt like the team that they had in Jay Crowder and, Isaiah Thomas and Wade and Derrick Rose. Look at what Derrick Rose is doing right now with the Minnesota Timberwolves. Look at what Jay Crowder is doing right now with the Utah Jazz. Look at what Wade has done in closing out that game 2 for the Miami Heat. I felt like they had a very good roster. It didn't work for whatever reason. Chemistry issues. It came out that they don't like each other, whatever. But when the trade happened, everybody said, oh, now LeBron James is in the driver's seat to the finals. And everybody back on the bandwagon, and for good reason. You brought in George Hill, proven point guard, playoff experience, has battled with LeBron, has his respect. Brought in some young Thundercats and Jordan Clarkson and Larry Nash Jr. And also probably the most important piece of all of that was Rodney Hood, a guy that was in the playoffs last year, won a playoff series, played very well. He can ball. Y'all got younger, y'all got longer, y'all got better. First 2 games, blew Boston right out the building. Then went into OKC, blew them right out the building. My boy called me up. Oh, my good friend D. Smith called me. If LeBron, I'm telling you, LeBron James going back to the finals again. If he go back to the finals, you got to tell him Jordan all this other stuff. I said, look, I do like their roster better in terms of them being younger and longer and versatile. But I said, look, it's just a couple games. I got to see them hit some adversity. I got to see, they lose a few games, what's going to happen? Well, the same thing happened. They really struggled. And now they're struggling now to beat the Indiana Pacers. It's not a good look. And it doesn't matter. I don't want to hear about the roster because everybody. Because the one thing that everybody always does is, oh, look at him. Look who he's playing with. Look at who he's playing with. How could you keep using that excuse of look at who he's playing with? You cannot keep using that excuse, look at who he's playing with. For 15 years, you cannot use that excuse. Oh, look at what he's playing with. When he left Miami, the way he was old and bosh, look who he was playing with. They threw a pep rally for 3 people. They were so confident they was going to win not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6. They were so confident. They threw a pep rally with 3 people. How many of you ever been to a pep rally, a team sport game, for a pep rally with just 3 people? That's how confident they was. And they went to 4 straight. Got embarrassed by Dallas in the first one. Beat up on the Oklahoma City Thunder in the second one. Barely. If it wasn't for Ray Allen's miracle shot, they would have lost that one. And then Tim Duncan was so confident the next year, he said, oh yeah, we get it done this year. And proceeded to wipe them boys up on the floor. 5-1. LeBron James, you know this. LeBron James fans and supporters, y'all know this. He has to go back to the finals. Period. I ain't saying he got to win it, but he's got to go back. And he cannot lose to the Indiana Pacers. And he's on the collision course, I believe, with Joel Embiid and the 76ers. He can't lose to them. Period. Moving right along, my take, I talked about tanking, what we can do to fix tanking. I'm going to get off that for a second because there's some new development happening right this moment. The Oklahoma Thunder is down 2-1 to the Utah Jazz. This is rather inexplicable to me. I don't really understand this one. And this one will absolutely highlight something for me. Russell Westbrook, Paul George, and Carmelo Anthony. One of my debaters of sports said, you know, these players today, they're more athletic, they're this, that. I said to him, I said, look, athleticism in basketball count for some. But if it was only about athleticism, there was a lot of guys that would have came through this league and tore up the league. I remember there being a guy by the name of Melvin Helicopter, Melvin something. I forgot his last name. Melvin Levitt, that was his name. Anybody who go back, you remember this guy, he played for Cincinnati, his name was Melvin Levitt. This guy's athleticism was off the chain. How many people remember Harold Miner? Anybody remember Harold Miner? Man, he actually, remember J.R. Ryder? If athleticism was the only thing that mattered in pro basketball, then all the best athletes that ever came through the gym of the NBA will all be superstars. Larry Bird will be guys like Kevin McHale and Larry Bird and these non-athletic people that's come through the league. They be, even Magic Johnson, because he wasn't all that athletic. He was fast for 6'9", but he wasn't like jumping out of the building and all that kind of stuff. It doesn't count for anything. It's the skill of this game that matters. And it's also will. The Utah Jazz is beating the Oklahoma City on will. They're being led. Listen, man, I don't even know what to say if they lose to the Utah Jazz, being led by a rookie with 3 potential Hall of Famers. It'll be just numbers that if they get into the, if they lose, and this is also, as I said about LeBron James, I'm going to say this about Carmelo Anthony. I'm going to even throw Russell Westbrook in there, and I'm going to put Paul George in there as well. If they lose this series to the Utah Jazz, being led by a rookie, nothing they have done before, nothing they will have done after this will count for anything. Period. Nothing they would have done before or after will account for anything. So they better beat the Utah Jazz. They better beat the Utah Jazz. And I don't want to hear, no excuse, listen, I don't want to hear, oh, you know, it was that first year together. Oh, it was this here, an excuse and all, you know, Melo. I don't want to hear it. They better beat the Utah Jazz. Last but not least, we got another series cooking right now. This playoff series is so interesting to me because right now the Minnesota Timberwolves are facing the Houston Rockets. And this is going to tell us a lot about James Harden. Now, everyone saw what James Harden did last year. I've never seen anything close to what I see. LeBron James was embarrassing in Dallas, the way he just faded to black. that way. But what James Harden did last year, beginning in the overtime of Game 6, going into Game 7, James Harden played like somebody had a gun to his mother's head and said, if you take another shot, I'll blow her head off. That's the way James Harden played. That was the biggest choke job I have ever seen in the history of the NBA. I've never seen anybody choke this hard before. And I believe, because he has a history of choking, if somehow the Minnesota Timberwolves ties this series up at any point, whether it be 2-2 or 3-3, if the Minnesota Timberwolves tie this series up, I got the Timberwolves winning this series. I got the Timberwolves winning this series. And this will be the greatest upset. The greatest upset in NBA history. That includes the Denver Nuggets beating the Seattle Supersonics. That includes the Golden State Warriors beating the Dallas Mavericks. If Minnesota, then you said, well, their roster is better. Yeah, I don't care about that. This will be the greatest choke job. And James Harden will have proven to be a fraud, a big-time choke artist, and I don't even want to see him in another commercial if he loses to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Not just lose, but I believe that he's going to choke. And it will be so evident that he's choking. It will be embarrassed. You'll sit there embarrassed like, oh my God, I can't believe the man is choking like this here. He can't choke. I don't mind him losing, but he can't choke. James Harden can't choke, and I believe he will choke. I believe he will choke. So, to wrap it up, let me say this again. LeBron James, you absolutely, positively, under any circumstances, can you lose to the Indiana Pacers? Melo, Westbrook, Paul George, if you guys lose to the Utah Jazz, there will be no discussion ever about how great you guys were at some point in your career. Melo, with all the numbers, 25,000 points, it's just numbers. You do not belong in the Hall of Fame if you lose to the Utah Jazz. You do not belong in the Hall of Fame. And Paul George, if you lose to the Utah Jazz, Magic Johnson ought to look at you and go, I think you ought to stay in OKC. And Russell Westbrook, I'm going to watch closely for the next couple games. Because you play hard. But man, you got to get smarter. Because there's no way you can get schooled by a rookie. That's my take. What's yours?